You have just stumbled into, I think, the single biggest tragedy, and this transcends both food and skincare. We have all been hoodwinked into thinking that vitamins and minerals that are unnaturally manufactured is somehow on par with natural nutrition. And the same thing has happened with skincare. You have to think about the human capacity to metabolize those nutrients.
And recognize.
Your body has
to recognize the molecular structure. If it's synthetic, it's not recognizable by your body.
It's a testament to how far removed so many people are from our food supply.
In today's busy world, how can we find the inspiration, knowledge, and energy to live a healthy and empowered life? If we balance and harmonize our mind, exercise our body, live according to the laws of nature, and connect to spirit, can we find a way to heal, become our authentic self, and live our purpose with love? I am your hostess, Amy Fournier, and welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite. Before we join this amazing conversation, I wanted to share with you an exciting announcement. I am finally, after everybody asking and people telling me I should, producing my first online course for women. And you know what's funny? There's men interested in it too. Why? Because it's about the 4 life stages of womanhood, the 4 major archetypes that all of us women go through in life: the maiden, the warrior, the mother, and the wise woman. And this course is a compilation of so much of my work and deep dive study that I share with you how I've learned to navigate these different stages, how they all interrelate, how we can live life gracefully and wisely and progress through stages with wisdom. This course is packed full of stuff. We talk about how these different life stages correlate with moon cycles, that's right, the seasons of the year, and even the 4 functions of consciousness. It's packed with amazing, helpful, practical information, and it's going to be a lot of fun that I guarantee you will love. If you buy the course, you have lifetime access. There's training modules and video and even handouts, and you will have live calls with me and the other participants so we can share in this community together. I can't wait to offer this for you. So if you're interested, make sure you're on my email list so you will hear about it. That's amyfournier.com to sign up. So there you go, my friends. Super excited to connect with you on this online course, Goddess Rising. And it's going to be a lot of fun. And I can't wait to share with you all the things that I've learned that have helped me navigate through this crazy journey we're on together. It's like the structured, coherent water that's in this cute little wand, which is the size of basically a large pen, can fit in your purse, pocket, whatever. I travel with mine, everything, is the conductor of an orchestra. All the other water molecules are like you get the cello and the drum and the bass and the harp and all these different instruments. But the wand is like the master conductor, which is going to structure them and make it sound in harmony. Otherwise, you're just going to have noise, which you guys called chaos.
Water loves to be coherent, and it takes over the energy from the coherent state. Water knows that it is out of balance, and it wants to immediately come back to its most original state. If you want to have the right Beethoven, use this one.
There you go. Okay, analemo-water.com. If you want to purchase your own wand, which we highly recommend, you can get it there. You can also get it on my website. I only put products I believe 100% used personally on mine. I couldn't get this on my website fast enough in my e-store to share with people, and you can even save 10%. You use the Amy coupon. It's on my website. Thank you for providing that, by the way. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. This show is about helping you to be healthy and fit in mind, body, and spirit, as well as harmonize your masculine and feminine energy, tap into your intuition, your true source of power, and awaken your authentic self. Today, we get into the body, one of my favorite topics. It goes back to my origins, back decades ago when I was a personal trainer and aerobics instructor. Yes, I wore those thong leotards and leg warmers and all that crazy Jane Fonda stuff. If you're my age, you know what I'm talking about. If you're a lot younger, you have no clue what I'm talking about. But my origins did start in health and nutrition. So I love today's discussion with my guest, Charles Mayfield, because we talk about fat and we talk about skincare. So we're talking about beauty and health and nutrition and even organic farming and the food industry. We're talking about pigs and why pigs are awesome. Do you have a pig? Do you know anything about pigs? What do you know about fat? Saturated fat, unsaturated fat, healthy fats, cooking fats, the fats that are good for your skin, and skincare. Are you spending a lot of money on expensive skincare ointments for anti-aging and different benefits? Well, you're going to love this conversation today because Charles Mayfield is the founder of Farrow Skincare. He's a father and he's a farmer. He has a lot of experience in fitness and health and wellness, and he's also a published author and advocate for regenerative farming. And he's the founder of one of my newest, most favorite skincare company lines called Farrow Skincare. It's based on lard, which is rendered pig fat. But before you freak out, take a deep breath and let me remind you that all ancient cultures, particularly in America, used lard and pig fat as a staple in their everyday life. Basically, life was impossible without pig fat. They used it in cooking, they used it to make things, and it basically kept them healthy and happy. This is such a fun conversation. We cover a lot of ground because we talk about the origins of Charles as a farmer, because he wasn't always a farmer. He went from fitness to farming. And let me tell you, my friends, it looks like I'm following in his footsteps. From fitness to farming, I think I'm going to become a farmer. He gives us some practical tips to starting your own small farm. And we talk about the importance of soil. What is regenerative farming? Why it's important. Why it's important that you spend the money on properly raised animals and plants and regenerative biodynamic organic foods. Why should you spend the additional money? The importance of having nutrient-dense foods, which you will find only in those types of foods. Understanding the organic label. Bioavailability of foods, and why eating and using plant-based products are actually harder for your body to utilize than anything that comes from an animal. We talk a lot about bioavailability and why you want to know what that is. Why pigs are Charles's favorite animal and why pigs are unique on any homestead, the unique role that they play. The different types of lard, leaf lard, and tallow, and what the differences are between all of them. The different roles of ruminant animals and monogastric animals, and we get a lot into the weeds about why this stuff is important. The different types of fat, how subcutaneous fat is different from visceral fat, how lard and tallow are different, and how the pig is such a beautiful animal that really gels well with human beings. Did you know that their fat as well as their pH are very, very similar? They actually mimic human fat and human pH. And that's why in modern medicine, we harvest pig organs because they're very similar to human organs. You've probably heard of someone having a pig valve transplanted into them when they have problems with their heart, because pig cellular biology is very similar to humans. That's why it makes perfect sense to use pig fat in our skin care, because our skin is very similar to their skin. So I have become a believer. This is my new favorite skincare line, Farrow Skincare. I couldn't put this on my website fast enough because it's different than all the other stuff I have there. This is animal-based. It's lard based, it's regeneratively farmed, it's natural, it's holistic, and Charles Mayfield has the same values and reverence and respect for life and nature as I do and as probably you do. And it works. My skin loves it. I discovered it in the middle of a very harsh New England winter where it is rough on skin. It's like single digits. The wind chill is brutal. I have to be outside all the time with my dogs. I am a beach summer girl who wants to live in flip-flops and bikinis. I don't like cold weather. This stuff has saved me. And Charles was generous enough to give us a special coupon for you. So if you want to try this wonderful product line, you can go ahead to my website, amyfournier.com, or just go to farrow.life.com and enter the code Aphrodite at checkout, and you'll save 15%. I absolutely guarantee you are going to love it. Some of my favorites are the Skin Face Serum and the Epidermis, which is an all-natural, chemical and toxin-free answer to skin abuse. I put that on my hands, like the rough cuticles and all that stuff, especially at night before I go to bed. Sometimes I even put it on my lips if they're wind-chapped. I absolutely love this line. You're going to learn so much on this episode. I know you're going to love it. I am thrilled to share it with you. This is one of my favorite episodes and why I love bringing you this show so much. So please check out farrow.life, enter the code Aphrodite. And if you like this type of discussion, you're going to want to check out episode 165 with Autumn Smith, where we talk more about the food system. Episode 131, Ancestral Nutrition for a Modern Appetite, with celebrity chef James Berry and one of my favorite seasonings, Pluck organ meats. That's 131. Episode 124, the U.S. food industry and not using genetically modified organisms, with the one and only Zen Honeycut from Moms Across America. That's episode 124. Episode 121, Sacred Feminine Skincare with Sebin Solis and Hannah Marabani. Episode 117, no, we're not going to say 117. You can take that out. That's Elizabeth Plurd. Episode 98, The Truth About Organic Food with Jared Picard. And episode 84 with Food Forest Abundance and that whole clan with Jim Gale and Food Forest Abundance Industry. So those are some additional episodes of Awakening Aphrodite you might want to hit up if you're interested in this type of topic. So let's now join and learn a lot about the wonderful world of pigs, because I think I'm going to be getting a pig. And after you hear this, you might want to get one too. I have a newfound respect and love for piggies. So let's now join Charles Mayfield and Farrow's Skincare. And we're back, everybody. Welcome back to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. My guest today is Charles Mayfield. Charles, welcome to the show.
Amy, it is an absolute pleasure to be here. Thank you.
My goodness, everybody knows I've been in holistic health for many decades now. And you're just right up my alley. I mean, I found your products, Farrow Skincare, it must have been a couple months ago now, through Weston A. Price organization, whom I've been following and studying for many decades throughout my careers in holistic nutrition and health. And you're just a godsend. I mean, you've made this amazing brand and product based on all the values and principles that I hold dear and many people in our community do. And I'm so excited to share you with my audience, to educate all of us on the ecosystem, regenerative farming, the values and benefits and importance of saturated fats, animal products, ancient nutrition and wisdom, getting back to understanding how it's always been, what works, the truth of it. And of course, your amazing, beautiful product line, which I personally use every single day now. I become a big fan. So Charles, welcome to the show. And tell us a little bit about where you are and just a synopsis of what got you started along this path of skincare and your love of pigs.
Wonderful intro, Amy. Thank you very much. Oh, goodness gracious, where to start? Well, Farrow as a company is really an amalgamation. I would even say a cross-pollination of. I have a joy for working with my hands, workshop, cooking, things of that nature. Have for some time. I've co-authored a number of cookbooks in the paleo space. Um, Fell in love with just sort of general fitness and nutrition a number of years ago through the CrossFit community. I'm sure everyone listening's probably heard of CrossFit. It's become quite popular, but yeah, and that was what exposed me very early on to the idea of nutrition, and ironically, it was CrossFit that led me to paleo, and paleo that led me to Weston A. Price. We were talking before we hit record about just all the different cross pollinations between our respective audiences and influences, and so yeah, and it was the paleo movement that exposed me to Polyface Farms, exposed me to Weston A. Price, and I would say ultimately sort of got me bitten by the farming bug. I started reading about everything I could get my hands on from Joel Salatin. This was, oh gosh, circa 2013, 14, 15. And yeah, long story short, I've been in the health and wellness space tangentially for about 15 years, ran my own gym in Atlanta for a number of years. And again, it was that community that really drew my interest towards clean food, and then also where we source that from. And that's moved back up to Tennessee. I lived in Atlanta for, gosh, 24, 25 years. Went to college there and stayed. And ultimately, in 2015, 16, made the decision to sort of exit the gym, get up to Tennessee, and try my hand at farming. Had not, some people sort of presume that I grew up in a farming environment, and I did not. And so, yeah, we cranked up the pastured meat production. Little mom and pop sort of Mayfield Pastures was the name of our, I would call it sort of a buyers club driven micro polyface model. And that was where I fell in love with pigs. So we had our first test batch of chickens and pigs was the fall of 2016. And despite some early challenges and hard lessons in the farming space, I hung in there and yeah, really developed over the 4, 5, 6 years of doing all of that. Really have developed an appreciation and passion for the pig.
Okay, so can you give me some tips on your beginning with farming? Because I'm a big proponent of that with my audience in my personal life. We're recording this in winter, and spring is around the corner, which I'm counting the days because right now is the first winter in many years I've been up in New England, and it's pretty rough in February. And I'm just like, oh, only a few more weeks. And I'm constantly telling my dogs, only a few more weeks. I can't feel my fingers, but that's okay. A few more weeks. And I'm already getting my eyes toward the spring because this is going to be the first year with my new property that I'm going to have my own garden. And I'm going to hook up with Jim Gale, my buddy from Food Forest Abundance. And if people want to look into that, it's on my e-store. They help you get just make the use of land and property and work with the soil, work with your climate, the zone, all that stuff, how you can start your own garden and do it responsibly, biodynamically, all those beautiful things. But I'm so excited, Charles, because I have been dreaming about this for years and years and years, and I finally have my home where I can have my own garden. But I don't have a green thumb. I have no thumb. Okay, I don't even know how to grow a tomato. Okay, so I'm starting from scratch, and I know a lot of my audience are too. But we want to get started. We're like, all right.
Sure.
I know it's important not only to be self-sufficient a little bit and not be so dependent on the man, but also just because everything, what I'm learning about farming and growing your own food, Charles, is that you develop a relationship with nature on a different level There's something about, yeah, literally getting your hands in the dirt and your feet in the dirt, but you commune with nature and our origins, and there's so many layers to it. It's so much more than just the economical providing for your, subsistence needs. It goes beyond that. It goes into the esoteric and the spiritual, which I'm looking forward to. But not to get ahead of myself, I guess my original question was, when you started farming, which I'm surprised to hear was only 2015, I think you said, would you have any beginning tips for us that are just getting started on our home garden, our home farm? Maybe the person who wants to get a couple of chickens and start growing some vegetables. Any practical tips for us?
Sure. So, well, for starters, I would tell everyone to separate plants and animals.
Okay.
So they both mean farming, but plants don't get up and walk off. So it's okay to start plants and animals, but those are, in many respects, well, let me say this. Anything Joel Salatin has written, if you're interested in backyard animal husbandry, one of his latest books, and the Salatin family have been unbelievably generous to me over the years with their time and their talents. I've pilgrimed up to Polyface, gosh, over a dozen times at this point. In fact, the first time I met Sally Fallon Morell was at Polyface Farm back in 2013. Anyway,
From Weston A. Price. Yeah.
from Weston A. Price, correct? Yes.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, that was the year. I'll tell you, just to historically put some stuff in context. That was the first formal big time fundraiser for the Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund, which I believe launched in 2012 or 2013. I bring that up for your listeners. The Farm to Consumer Legal Defense Fund is an absolute dynamo of an organization. If you want to look into them, a very small donation or membership there goes a very long way. They represent farmers when overreaching government authorities step in. Probably the most famous recently is this Amos Miller guy, biodynamic farm up in Pennsylvania that's just been shut down back and forth a couple times. It's really, really sad. Anyway, when it comes to animal husbandry at any scale, I generally default to the work of Joel Salatin and the Salatin family. He has a newest book, one of his newest books called Polyface Micro, which is basically their model necked down to a homesteading more type scale. When it comes to, so that's for the animals. When it comes to the plants, goodness gracious, Diego Footer and Paper Pot is a great, I think he was Permaculture Voices was his platform for a number of years. Nature's Always Right, good buddy of mine, Stephen Cornett. He's very, very talented there's a lot of Korean biodynamic farming when it comes to, soil prep and things of that nature. But there's countless resources out there for anyone. That's the beauty of the world we live in today. But at a very, very baseline tip, I would say start small and read a lot before you
Yeah.
start.
And how did you actually get started then, before we get to your pig relationship? How did you start with, okay, we're just going to start with a garden with some cucumber and tomatoes, and then we'll get a few chickens? Or how did you actually get started that evolved into your whole business?
Yeah, so I grew up, my mom had a huge garden when we were growing up, and to this day she still cans, beans and tomatoes every
Awesome.
fall.
Wow.
So my gardening exploits have been, just I've been able to garden, luckily or unluckily for forever. My farming exploits specifically were really around meat production. And so, again, garden's great, but my most of my energy and research and actions were in raising. So to answer your question, we started off with meat chickens, layers, and a small batch of pigs, and quickly added cows maybe the following year. Very, very small herd. But yeah, so for those listening that want to sort of get started, chickens are sort of the gateway drug. is what a lot of people reference. I would say if again, if you had one thing to pick,
Yeah.
obviously making sure everything jives with your local, municipality or city codes or ordinances or whatever, you'd be amazed at
Yeah.
how onerous some places are about backyard chickens. But I would tell almost anybody wanting to dip their toes in the water, backyard laying hens are a great starting spot, as opposed to meat birds. Now, meat birds are great as well. These are, Cornish cross broilers or the Freedom Rangers, but meat chickens are a nice, again, just sort of starter kit. And again, Salatin's got a number of great books. Pasture Poultry Profits is, I would say, the Bible for starting backyard chickens at any scale.
Yeah, there's a lot of great resources, and God, Joel Salatin is just like a legend, I mean,
Oh
that's
yeah,
such a great, and how lucky for you, you've actually worked
oh,
with him, and wow,
super
what a
lucky. Yeah,
mentor, huh? You hit
yeah.
the
So we
jackpot.
started with I started with a test batch of 50 broilers, and then I think I got 30 layers, and then I ordered 10 piglets. This was my very first order, and the 50 broilers. I think we ended up ordering about 70, and you have a brooder, and we lost a few in the brooder, and we ended up with about 45 to 50 chickens that I sent off somewhere to have them processed. But those were my seeding birds. So I took a chicken around to a bunch of friends and, hey, taste this, eat this. How, would you want more of this? And of course,
Yeah.
everyone was blown away. And so yeah, once we figured out we could do it at a small scale, then we just kept doing it.
Okay, so let's get into that. You said everybody was blown away, and this is what happens is when people taste food, the way food was originally designed to taste because it's grown the way it's supposed to grow, it's a whole different thing. I mean, how many people will go to a farmer's market or, hopefully you have, and especially children, where, you pick something right off the tree or whatever, and it's delicious. It doesn't need all the condiments. It doesn't need all the sugars and oils and all that because it's so good. I know when I go to California and see Paul or any of my friends there and they have all the local food, it's like I feel like I'm just eating candy every meal because it's just the way it's supposed to be because the nutrition is there and now it's gone. And that's why people have to adulterate all the foods and add all the chemicals and whatever because the food doesn't taste like anything. No wonder why kids don't like vegetables because they taste like cardboard or they're, worse. They've got stuff in it you don't want. So let's talk about regenerative farming. What is it, Charles, and why is it important, and how can we support it or even maybe do it on our own?
Sure, great question. Bunch of different. I mean, regenerative farming is a pretty broad term. I have a very simple definition of regenerative farming. Any farming practices that naturally build soil.
Okay.
I believe if at the end of the day you're building soil, then you're leaning into natural systems and animal husbandry. You have to check all the boxes if you want to build soil. Then you have to farm uh, with nature, not against it. And so, if you look at the Corn Belt in the United States of America, where we grow most of our grain, Missouri, Iowa, those big flat stretches of land, again called the Corn Belt. That soil was built over, hundreds of thousands of years of herding bison and predators pushing keeping the bison herded together and then moving them all along the landscape, and then migratory birds coming coming in behind the uh the herbivores and cleaning up. And so we're just sort of trying to take a natural system that sequesters carbon out of the air, utilizes the sun, all these natural systems, doesn't overburden the land. Your listeners, if they decide to do backyard chickens, I'm so excited for them. If they leave their backyard chickens in the same place for more than 15 or 20 days, you have a barren patch of soil because the chicken's going to eat every little thing that hops up out of the ground. And so, in a natural system, animals move. Animals never stay in the same place for very long. They don't overtax the land. Pigs get a bad rap because pigs are destructive, and they are. Pigs are one of the most destructive animals you've ever run across. Well, that disturbance, that destruction on the landscape has a role, right? Like any other type of disturbance, it has a role. But when we allow that disturbance to be over applied is when it becomes a con versus a pro, if that makes sense. And so, the importance of, you mentioned it earlier, the nutritional value in our food has just gradually over time has gone down and down and down and down, in terms of the nutrient density. A tomato today versus a tomato, 50 years ago, a carrot, any of the vegetables, fruits of today. We don't have seasonality anymore. We're shipping things in from South America in the dead of winter, so the consumers, conceptuality of strawberries is they're fresh year round. And that's just simply, if you want the best tasting and most nutrient dense strawberry, then you're gonna get it locally in the spring. And if you don't live somewhere where you can get strawberries and you really want strawberries, then you should move somewhere where strawberries can be grown. Part of the reason our food today is less nutrient dense is because we have mined so much nutrients from the soil, and we've eroded so much of our soil. And one of the beautiful things about regenerative agriculture, holistic land management is another term for your listeners. The work of Alan Savory and the Savory Institute. He's another, absolute world beater in terms of understanding how natural systems work and reversing desertification and all these various things. And his origin story is unbelievable. But yeah, in a nutshell, regenerative agriculture, regenerative farming is working with nature to build soil. Period.
And what I heard you saying is basically you are referring to the monocropping going on today. So like in modern conventional agriculture and food production, let's just paint a picture for all of us. It's like this massive project where they have one type of crop grown on this massive field. And please, can you elaborate just for our audience, for all of us to understand? Because I'm just going to say, I think there's a concerted effort to separate the consumer from the producer, and to kind of like a veil of deception of what's happening, and like purposeful deceptive marketing of even like saying like eggs are vegetarian fed, like it's a good thing. It's like, are you insane? Chickens are not vegetarian. They eat bugs. They're omnivores, right? So, I mean, all this stuff is just sick because it's literally misinformed and misleading on purpose. But can you paint for us, like, when we're buying food, like people might think, okay, I'm buying eggs, I'm trying to eat healthy, I'm going to buy some meats and I'm going to have vegetables, but I really don't want to pay more for organic or free range or wild. Paint for us a picture as to why it's important to go with the free range, the regenerative farm, the biodynamic farm, the organic, because when it's not, the conventional is the monocrop, like you said, it's less nutrition. I mean, it's raping the soil, blah, blah, blah. Like why it's important, sure. Charles.
Well, I mean, for starters, I think we can all agree that we'd like to have soil and the ability to grow food and the ability to eat food in 50 years. Because I've got young kids and I want, they're going to have kids one day. And so why is it important? again, this is all documented. You can look this up. We're losing, I forget how many metric tons of topsoil. The World Health Organization, and I want to say there's several global organizations that have pinpointed that we will run out of topsoil. I think we have between 40 to 60 harvests globally, left. Okay, let me paint a picture for everyone listening. There is no lab. There's no lab that you can build, okay, that can grow food as well as healthy, vibrant, living soil.
Of course.
Period.
Yeah.
End of story. And I would add there's also no lab that doesn't have inputs coming into it that need to be grown in order to make food. For your listeners, when it comes to the organic label or this, I would say that if you're buying fruits and vegetables, organic is a wise choice. When it comes to animal protein, I'm going to separate animals into two categories. One is monogastric omnivores and one is ruminant herbivores. Okay. And there's a very important distinction there. We've mentioned chicken. Pigs are my favorite. We've mentioned eggs. Okay. So we got chicken meat, pork, and eggs. Well, eggs come from chickens, which are a monogastric omnivore. I would even argue carnivore. They're more carnivorous than I chuckle and I appreciate that you bring it up. It's like vegetarian fed eggs. It's like,
drives me crazy.
We've lost our intuition, Amy. It's just hilarious.
And people pay more for that. And it's like, that's exactly what you don't want. Plus that means they're getting soy, which isn't even real. It's
yeah.
Anyway,
so we've got on one side, we've got ruminant herbivores. So this is your beef, this is your lamb, this is your bison, elk, deer, anything eating grass. And then over here, categorically, you've got monogastric omnivores. So chicken.
That means one stomach.
One stomach.
One stomach, like us, like people have one stomach. It's
correct.
Different. Okay.
Absolutely. So we'll get into this later, but one of the reasons Farrow, I believe, is so highly effective is because of the resemblance and biomimicry between us, the human species, and pigs. And it is fascinating how similar to pigs we are. And so, anyway, I say all that to say the organic, back to food labels, right? Back to shopping and discernment. I would tell anybody listening, for eggs, pastured. If you can find pastured eggs as a label, then we're doing really well. But if you can't, that's okay. Store-bought chicken and store-bought pork. This is where I sort of draw a gray line with consumers, okay? Because I candidly think that store-bought, when I say store-bought, I mean industrially raised, pork and chicken.
Conventional. Yeah.
Conventional. Raised in an industrial house, robbed of its anything remotely resembling its natural environment, all the things. That might as well be a completely different product than pastured chicken and pork. Okay. And I say all that to say that I view chicken and pork as the dessert of protein consumption. This is my own personal view. We would not be eating chicken. Chicken is a 50-year-old phenomenon in our diet, because if you look at a chicken from 50 years ago, they were all laying eggs. There were no meat chickens, and you had this razor breasted.
They were scrawny.
They wouldn't even recognize a chicken from 50 years ago.
Wasn't much meat on them anyway. So
no. So this, and again, the modern Cornish cross broiler is an absolute phenom in terms of what we have the capacity to do in animal breeding. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So anyway, pork and chicken, if you're buying it at the store, just be wary. Get your leaner cuts. Bacon's bacon. I don't want to run anybody away from bacon, but Smithfield bacon is a far cry from, Polyface bacon or White Oak Pastures. Eat Wild. Before I forget, for your listeners, eatwild.com is a great resource to go to, plug in your zip code and find farmers. They're not all going to be necessarily growing things organically or, along the same fashion that I'm talking about, but most of them that are on that site, you'll be able to have a conversation, go out and visit, shake a hand. I would say local trumps any other label that you can get I don't care if it says organic or, prayed over daily or whatever. Like, there's no label that you can buy at the store that will trump, I just shook this person's hand and bought local, right? You're keeping your money in your local economy. All sorts of really big benefits come from that. Okay, so over here in ruminant world, beef, lamb, labels are less important. It's, candidly, I tell people this, you hear it all the time, Amy. I know you hear this. It's like eating healthy is expensive, and it's like, well, diabetes is expensive too. It's really expensive,
as well as missing work, and because
all those
during
things.
the day you can't focus because you're not eating right, so your blood sugar's screwed up, so you're not efficient when you're working, and you're half working, you're half not working, and you're tired, and you're overdoing on Red Bull and coffee because you're trying to keep it. That's expensive.
Absolutely. So I tell people preferentially, if we're building a stable nutritional protocol, animal protein should be the foundation. And I would say preferentially in that foundation, lean into the ruminant herbivorous animals, again, beef, lamb, if you're a hunter, deer and elk, whatever, bison, whatever the case may be. That should be the majority of your foundation in terms of, and eggs, obviously. But then over here, you can add pork, of course. Big fan of pork, love it. Add chicken as you like, but the bulk of your eating needs to be, I believe, needs to be red meat.
Mm-hmm.
And then we've talked about vegetables and raising your own gardens and all those things. All that's great, but the foundation, in terms of nutrient density, in terms of consumer quality, it's hard to argue with even store-bought beef. Could you do better, ordering from Polyface or White Oak? Of course, but store-bought Walmart brand ground beef, it's still a far cry better than any box of cereal on any store shelf in America.
Yeah, I'm glad you kind of put that caveat on there, because I would say, sure, if you're saying it's a toss-up between conventional regular beef and like a Twinkie, all right, yeah. But otherwise, to your point earlier, regenerative is important, wild, free range, organic, all this is important because the bigger picture is not only are you what you eat, but you are what you ate. And you are what you ate, how they lived, just like humans. And now that we're starting to understand and value more mainstreamly the importance of our lifestyle, of, okay, it's not just about exercise and diet. Now we're also realizing that we have to look at our sleep. We have to look at our stress. We have to look at our water consumption, our exposure to natural light, our movement all day long, not just our 30 minutes a day and then we sit the rest of the day, our relationships, our lifestyle as human beings are affecting our overall health. Same thing goes for what we're eating. Mm-hmm. The lifestyle of your pigs, Charles. The way that those little pigs, as I've loved when you explain, the way they express their pigness in their little pig life, if they're happy in the sun and wagging their little curly tails and they're able to be a pig and not in conventional or even chickens or you name your animal in a feedlot stuffed in some cage where they literally can't move. They're butt to butt, back to back, nose to nose. They never see sunlight. They never move. They never just get to be a normal animal. So of course, what are their neurochemicals? What's their biology going to be like? What would your biology be like if you lived in that condition? I know, like me, if I don't move my body at least every day or two and get some sun and God knows get some sleep, I am a different person. I don't even like myself. I don't blame anybody for not liking me. So the same thing goes for our food sources is what I'm saying for all of us. That's why we're paying more, everybody, because we know that the life of this animal, however it was, good, bad, or indifferent, is going to impact the biochemistry of the tissue of whatever in the plant. The plants too. It doesn't matter if you're vegetarian. Plants are the same. They're all alive. They all have energy. They all have elemental spiritual nature to them. So regenerative farming and all that values that, knows that the lifestyle, the life value, the life experience of this creature, being, plant, animal, whatever, is going to impact the product that's going to become our body. Because when you eat it, sometimes we forget, it's like, this is literally going to become my skin, my hair, my nails, my eyes, whatever it is, based on the stem cell, how it's going to express in my body. And I love that you talk about that. Can you please speak to that for us to really understand more? This is why we're paying more. This is why it's important to support the people that value and respect these animals.
Sure. Yeah, Amy, I'm glad you mentioned that. So the organic label, I love this. I love this conversation. The organic label with meat generally only refers to what the animal was fed. Okay. And great, you know, if the animal's fed organic food, you know, conceivably that's a better situation. Now there are a handful of labels in the market. I want to say animal welfare approved is one. You don't see it very often. The point I'm trying to make, and it's a point you brought up that I want to drive home, is the environment an animal grows up in, I think we could argue is more important than the food that animal is fed. And I look no further than to the human species in that regard.
Yeah.
If you rob, you know this and your listener knows this. I mean, how do we torture people? We
Solitary
rob them of
confinement.
sleep
Yep.
and sunlight. We
And
rob them of
interaction.
sleep and human interaction, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, and you could rob them of water, and you could rob them of food. I mean, there's but if you really want to drive somebody
Basic
to the
needs.
brink
Yeah.
of
Mhm.
what do you want from me? I'll give you anything you want.
Yeah.
You starve them of sunlight, human
Sleep.
interaction, and sleep.
Yep.
Our current industrial pork and chicken production model robs that animal of the sun.
Yeah.
You know, again, pigs are my favorite animal. I have a company built on their fat. You know, regrettably, in the United States today, I'm putting a talk together for Hack Your Health in Austin right now, here in a couple months, and I'm going through. I'm love this. I'm studying like the hog industry from like the turn of the century to present day, and just I'm learning. You know, I'm just drinking from a fire hose right now. Um, but you know, the conditions with which the pigs in this country and the chickens in this country grow up in are absolutely beyond abhorrent. They're
Oh, yeah.
terrible. They
Yeah.
require it forces these animals to basically have to be reliant on various antibiotics and vaccines. Most of the labeling laws, if you the label that says hormone-free chicken, well, that, you know what that means?
What?
Hormone-free chicken means that they injected the hormones into the egg before it hatched. So technically, it's hormone-free
See,
because
this is what just Ticks
Oh,
me
it's
right
terrible.
off.
It's terrible. If you go buy a steak at the store and that steak is labeled product of the US, there is a high likelihood that the cow you're eating was born and raised in Antigua or Brazil, never drew a breath of air on US soil, was killed and slaughtered and put on a boat and shipped up here and spent 24 hours in a USDA facility in the United States of America where they cut that steak up and stamped this is a product of the US. Meanwhile, most of the beef grown in our country, because our standards are really high. I mean, give credit where credit is due. Our standards for American beef are very high. Well, apparently that fetches a premium in the, in overseas markets. And so all the really good American beef isn't even being sold here, which is hilarious. But let me drive this point home. Every cow, every head of beef in the United States or outside the United States gets grass for 16 to 18 months of its life. That is just the life of a cow. They're going to get grass, that last month and a half, 2 months in an industrial model where they're in a feedlot. Sure, it's terrible, but every cow has a pretty doggone good life until right up to the end. Pigs and chickens in the industrial model, it is horrific from day one.
Yeah.
From day one. And so, one of the many reasons I launched Farrow is, quite frankly, to point the attention at, I say this all the time: the swine is divine, but the lard is hard. This amazing creature, absolutely, there is no other animal like the pig on the planet. How they fit into this regenerative, the cog in the wheel that they are in the regenerative farming model is just, there is not another animal that will do what a pig does. They do it with zeal and zest and curiosity. They're just an amazing animal. And when you raise them right and raise them in such a way where they have one bad day, that's, we should all be so lucky as to have one bad day. And when you do that, their meat is absolutely delightful and chock full of nutrition for us. Their fat is an amazing source of vitamins and minerals. It's unbelievable to cook with. And, candidly, it's, I think, the greatest fat on the planet for human skin and our own complexion. So,
And to that point, the fat, okay, so what we have to remember is that fat in any living system stores toxins. So whether it be the fat in a chicken, the fat in a cow, the fat in a woman, the fat in a man, the fat in a child, fat stores toxins. So, and this is why it's very important if people lose a lot of weight or they fast or any of this stuff, that you have proper detox pathways in your body and you're able to properly detoxify, because you're going to release a lot of toxins in your blood. And if you're eating an animal, or like, this whole carnivore movement or the keto movement, and people eating a lot of animal fats or a lot of saturated fats or a lot of fatty meats, if these fats that they're eating are not from animals that were healthy, meaning regeneratively raised, biodynamic, organic, free range, yada, yada, so their fat biochemical profile is not the way it should be, you're eating the toxins that animal sequestered away from its vital organs. You're eating that fat in your body. And particularly organ meats and stuff like that. You never, ever want to eat fat or organs from an animal that wasn't healthy, because that's pulling all the toxins to save that animal's life, and then you're eating that. So all the more reason when you're eating something that is a high fat source to make sure it's from something that was healthy. Otherwise, you're literally ingesting the toxins of that animal. And I don't hear enough people in our industry talking about that, but that's, I think, a very important point. Let's talk about the difference between lard and tallow, the pros and cons of each, and maybe if you could share with us the history of lard.
Oh, sure. So I'm going to throw a third fat in the mix just because we use predominantly three fats
Okay.
right now. So leaf lard. So we've got. I'm going to go ahead and juxtapose them. On one end you've got leaf lard. On the other end you have tallow. Okay. So for your listener, tallow is it's really a placeholder catch-all term for the rendered visceral fat from a ruminant. All right.
Okay.
So we talked about herbivorous ruminant species. That's most commonly a cow, beef tallow, but you can have elk tallow, bison tallow, deer tallow, you know, sheep, lamb tallow, goat tallow, but it's from specifically from the visceral fat, so the kidney fat of that animal. Okay. Leaf lard is if you hear the term lard, you're specifically talking about a pig. Again, tallow could be from a number of different
Okay.
uh, types of ruminants, but the term lard is unique and specific to the pig. Leaf lard is the rendered visceral fat, so it's the tallow equivalent, right, from a pig. And then lard is the rendered back fat or subcutaneous fat. And and why the distinction and why does that matter? Visceral fat, you know this. Many people intuitively know this. Visceral fat is in many respects protected from environmental exposure. It's internal. It's organ fat. It's the biological function. You know what is fat for? Okay, well, visceral fat. The biological function is to pad and protect your organs, predominantly the kidneys. Okay. What is the role of subcutaneous fat, belly fat, back fat? Well, the role of that fat is to store energy and vitamins and minerals. Everyone will know this, Amy. I love this example. If you've ever been to the store and bought a conventionally raised ribeye steak, okay, the fat in that steak is white. Now, by contrast, if you went to eatwild.com and found you a local or went to Polyface or White Oak or one of these pasture-based, grass-finished farms and bought that same ribeye, the fat on there is yellow. Okay. Why the difference? Because in the 2 to 3 months that feedlot cow goes off to get fattened up at the feedlot is devoid of beta carotene because beta carotene is a naturally occurring compound in grasses and forbs and lots of green leafy things that cows eat. None of that gets fed to them in a feedlot. So the beta carotene that has stored up in their subcutaneous fat over months and months and months of grazing, now all of a sudden they start leaching that beta carotene out of their subcutaneous fat stores, right? So that they can utilize it. And so, it's just so that's the role of subcutaneous fat is to store human beings. We store vitamin D in our subcutaneous fat. We store excess calories. Think about storing up calories for the winter. The whole idea of a ketogenic diet, is we're really good at converting carbohydrates in excess into subcutaneous fat. Our species is really good at that because we had to make as much fat in 2 or 3 months as we could thousands of years ago because there was not going to be a green leafy ripe piece of fruit around for six more months. So anyway, I feel like I got a little far afield there, but tallow tallow and leaf lard, okay, and then lard sits in the middle. And again,
Okay.
the reason the lard is hard is because if that pig has a lot of negative environmental exposure, whether that be diet or environment, lack of the sun, lack of, overcrowded conditions, you name it, right? Then that is ultimately going to manifest in its subcutaneous fat. It's going to be stored. Toxicity, health is stored the same methodology as toxicity, right? It's really just a matter of which environment are you in as a species, right? But we're going to store any excess exposure. We're going to store it in our subcutaneous fat.
Great, great. That was brilliant. Thank you for sharing that with us. That was very educational. I didn't know about this leaf lard. That's really cool. Even with when we talk about people being vegetarian or carnivore, and everybody's so darn confused. But regardless of what you choose to eat, there's one thing that's undeniable is the bioavailability of food. It increases when like meets like, meaning that if you're going to eat an animal source of vitamin D or even a protein, it's going to be more similar to you because we are animals, we are mammals. So the bioavailability of eating a protein or a vitamin or a mineral from an animal source is increased, meaning our body is going to utilize that nutrient much easier. It's much more facilitated than if it comes from a plant.
Amy, you have just stumbled into, I think, the single biggest tragedy.
Okay.
And this transcends both food and skincare. Okay. Is the idea we have all been hoodwinked into thinking that vitamins and minerals that are unnaturally manufactured and I would throw plant-based protein in that basket, right? Because
it's not bioavailable.
if you understand the chemical process involved in turning peas into pea protein, that is as far from nature as possible. So we have all been convinced that artificial nutrition is somehow on par with natural nutrition, and that is. And the same thing has happened with skincare, right? Retinol. Everyone's heard of retinol. If you're into skincare, it's like retinol and hyaluronic acid and all these things. Well, retinol is just vitamin A.
Okay.
And vitamin A is naturally occurring in a healthy pig and stored in its fat. But vitamin A that's manufactured in a lab and inserted into, you have to think about the human capacity to metabolize those nutrients.
And recognize, your body has to recognize the molecular structure. And if it's synthetic, it's not recognizable by your body.
It's all proteins and building blocks and breaking down things appropriately. And we have such a glaring example of this. So, Beyond Meat got in a host of trouble. I mean, their stock price keeps plummeting and it makes me smile. And listen, real quick, I have to say this. I love all God's creatures. If you're vegan or vegetarian out there, God bless you. I'm not going to tell you how to eat. I would appreciate you not telling me how to eat. But the single biggest lie that you have been told is that you are on a bloodless diet. And I have to make this point because it's a testament to how far removed so many people are from our food supply.
Yeah.
More animals. It is, you can't imagine how many more animals are killed every day, every year to produce peas
and kale
and
soy
and avocados and almonds. It would absolutely, I mean, and again,
thank you for saying
talk
that.
to anybody.
Talk to any farmer who tills the ground. All these animals and creatures are destroyed in planting your kale.
And tillage is the worst. I mean, I used to come in behind our cows. Okay, I used to come in behind our cows because I didn't have a lot of cows, and so in the grazing world, you want managed intensive grazing. You want to be able to bring that herd in and them just hammer that 2 acres. I didn't have enough. I didn't have the intensity. So, I'd keep it small, but I would come in behind them with a bush hog and sort of let the bush hog do the rest of the work so that we're setting off the cycle. Cause in 30 to 45
that's a machine that tills the soil. Is that just for those of us that aren't farmers?
A bush hog is a really big lawnmower.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, so a
Oh,
bush hog is
okay.
just, so think about a
Okay.
pasture, and they've grazed it down, but it's, I only had, I think at my height I had like 10 head of cattle. Well, my God, you need like 50 head of cattle to really intensively graze something. So I
Okay.
would graze them in an area, and I would come in behind it after
With
they've moved
your,
on, and
yeah.
I'd knock everything else down with a bush hog.
Mm.
Okay. And I can't tell you how many times I go through that field, you know, all well intentioned. All I'm here to
Yeah.
do is just knock the grass down. And you'd chop up a snake, or
Yeah.
you'd see a ground nesting bird, and you just
Yeah.
ruin their nest. And I mean,
Yeah.
this is just the life of a farmer.
Chipmunks, crickets,
Oh,
I mean, squirrels, mice. I mean,
oh
they're
yeah.
all, it's part of farming, folks. It's what's bringing us our fruits and vegetables. It's no different.
So
No
I want to
different.
bring that, it's you eat however you want, okay?
Yeah.
But this moral high ground that
That's right.
they put
They're not
themselves
informed.
on, and look down their noses at people like me. And the sad thing, Amy, is that community and people like me have way more in common
That's right.
about how an animal should be raised,
Agreed. And
right?
the love and respect of life
Love,
and
respect. I mean, it is
reverence.
such
Yes.
reverence. Thank you. That is so the first batch of
And
pigs that I had,
gratitude.
the very first batch, I had a sick pig. And, I bought these piglets. They were, freshly weaned. This
Oh
is my
my God.
first, yeah,
Oh my gosh, how cute.
and so there were 9 of them. And I have this one runt, and he won't grow, and and in the first 2 months of having these pigs, I had to put this pig out of its misery.
Oh no.
I mean,
It's part of being a farmer. That's why I don't know
it's
if I can
just
do it,
like, I
Charles.
don't
I
want to
don't know
see
if I
you
can do it.
suffer
No, that's right.
anymore.
No,
And it's
it
just,
was,
I mean, I'll never forget it. It
yeah,
was my early,
it's part
you
of being a
know,
farmer.
hard day. That was the hard day, right?
Right from the
But
beginning, you had
oh
that.
my God, right out of the gate,
Oh,
like 2 months, 2 months after the pigs. But
yeah. Oh my God.
it was, I had to do it.
Yeah. It
Okay.
was the
I had to do
compassionate
it.
thing to do.
Just like when it got to the other 8, when they got to their healthy, it's time to turn you into food.
Oh boy.
Okay. I got to do it.
Yeah.
it's I
Yeah. Yeah.
but that's why life's so precious.
But
It's
you
so
see,
precious because it ends. And
yes.
so, and again, I say it sort of tongue in cheek, but I mean it every time. Like, my pigs had one bad day.
Yeah.
One.
And we can all only hope we have one bad day, because the worst nightmare of all is a slow, long, degenerative death where you start to lose function, independence, you start to lose your mind, your body doesn't work, and it goes on for years, or you're fighting a chronic illness. That is a nightmare. We can all only hope for a great life and die quickly one day from someone that appreciates and respects us. Because let me tell you, Charles, the best gift you can give those pigs, and all of us can give any creature, be it sentient, plant, or animal, or anything, is to, like the Native Americans did in ancient cultures, is to thank that creature for giving its life. And now realizing that that death is going to promote your life. And what are you going to do with that life? What are you going to do with this creature that sacrificed its life for you to continue yours? Are you going to make something of your life and the energy that that creature gave to you? Or are you just going to waste it watching Netflix and laying on the sofa and complaining about how bad the world is? you know?
That's
And that's
beautiful.
the way
Yeah.
I look at it. Like, thank you for giving your life and giving me energy and focus and helping my body be healthy and strong so I can contribute to the world and live my destiny or whatever it is, or just enjoy your life. Maybe your aspirations aren't that lofty. Who cares? But just to do something of respect and to make it mean something, you know?
Well, and there's memes floating around about this, and also just out of respect for these animals, like let's make sure that we don't waste one iota of this carcass. You know,
Mm.
all of our
Nose to tail.
sausage,
Yeah, nose to tail.
nose to tail.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I need to introduce you to James Berry. Do you know Eat Pluck? Have you met James
Oh
Berry
my
yet?
God, it's one of my favorite products. He was on my
Oh,
show, episode 98.
oh, good. Okay,
Yeah,
great.
yeah.
Yeah,
James
James and
Berry,
I are like two
celebrity
brothers
chef.
from another mother. Like he's
Yep.
handling the organs and I'm handling the fat.
Great guy,
But
great episode.
oh yeah,
I love his
wonderful. Well,
pluck
I didn't
seasoning.
realize that. I'll have to go back and listen to.
Yeah, 98. And everybody Pluck seasoning. That's the organs with salt and seasonings. And I put it on. You can make pluck corn. I put it on my eggs. I put it on my salad.
My son Scott, 11, and he's my carnivore. So when he doesn't want to eat his vegetables, I don't really get mad at him at all.
He's a carnivore.
He just, I mean, it's all the sausage and steak, and he'll just load it up. But my God, James's garlic zest,
Yeah.
pluck.
All of them.
All of them are great, but
he's a genius.
It's like catnip to Scott. I mean, he
Yeah.
won't put it down. I just
So
ordered. James is now, he's got the 100 gram,
Yeah, the bulk.
big bulk bags.
Thank
I just
God.
ordered 2 bulk bags of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, to circle this up, honoring I mean, that's another thing.
Yeah.
We didn't. So I'll tell you a really quick funny story. The first pig that I ever killed. Okay, the first pig that I harvested for meat. Okay, I told you the sad story about the runt. Okay, and then fast forward, 5 more months, and these pigs are ready to go to market. Okay, and so I have a friend in Atlanta, 2 friends that were like, "We'll take half of your first pig." And I did. This wasn't my first pig. Like I had 2 pigs that I took. Because you got to go to a butcher and you got to see, is the butcher worth a darn? You got to learn, because and my first pig experience taking them to a butcher was terrible. Like this guy, the butcher, literally butchered my pig. Like the chops are awful, and you can't sell that to a customer. Anyway,
know what he's doing, just like anything else. Got to know what they're doing.
Right.
They're not all the same. Yeah,
that's exactly right.
Yeah.
And so finally find a good butcher. Okay, clients, who wants a pig? These guys step up. We'll take the first pig. So how do you want it cut up? Well, you cut it. Okay. Chops, and here's the butt, and here's the shoulder, and here's the hand, just cutting everything up and make some grind and sausage and all that fun stuff. What do I do with the fat? Well, I keep all the fat. Give me all the fat. So I deliver these 2 half pigs to my friends. And Luke, if you're out there listening, I love you. Luke's like, what do I do with the fat? And I'm like, oh, dude, just grind it up, render it. It's the most, you can cook with it and bake with it, blah, 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 blah. Oh, okay, cool. Because I'm not going to waste fat. Not like you ordered half a pig. Here's the half a pig.
Especially if it was a healthy
fat
animal.
And all, right?
Yep.
And my phone rings about 10 days later, 15 days later. And Luke and I, very, very dear friends, longtime friends. And he's like, hey, man, next time you're down here, just come get this fat. Like, it's just going to sit I'm not going to render it, he's a city boy, And I was like, okay. And so
it's like liquid
part of the
gold.
reason, part of the reason Farrow exists is because I would go butcher pigs, and I could never bring myself to say, do away with, dispose of the fat. So I'm always bringing fat back and storing it in a freezer. And I've played around with, making some soaps and bath bombs. And I mean, we got a whole bunch of other products that we're going to play around with here this year and next, which is fantastic. But, it came time to like start making lots of farrow. And I was like, I got all the fat right here. But I wanted to see what all we could do with this waste product. That's it. I mean, it's like this is the least like the least utilitarian use of this is to make skincare out of it. Like we ought to be cooking with it. We ought to be doing all sorts of stuff with it. Anyway.
Yeah, but as you know, as they say, Paul Chek, one of my friends and mentors, if it's on your skin, you're drinking it. So skincare, well, it's the same thing as eating it, because your skin is like a big stomach. It just gets absorbed. That's why we have medicines and creams and medications that are delivered dermally, transdermally, in through your skin, patches and all these things, because your skin absorbs it, goes right to your bloodstream. So it's the same thing as eating it. So this is fantastic. I mean, I want to get into your beautiful skincare line and why it's important. But I have to ask you, though, you mentioned pig is your favorite animal, and I want to know why.
Oh, gosh.
Tell me about a pig, Charles. Tell me about the pig life.
They're highly intelligent animals.
Yeah, that's what I've heard. They're like dogs,
they,
right?
They say like dogs. I have heard that what I've been told is they have the cognitive ability of basically a 3-year-old human. So if you think about a toddler and how much they can learn, that's a pig.
Really? So they're trainable? Like, can you train them?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. There's people that have indoor.
Yes.
I mean, I have one of my dearest friends in high school. His mother had a Vietnamese potbelly pig as a pet. I house sat for him.
Oh God, that's hysterical.
Oh, and this thing was 250, 300-pound pig. It was a dog. It was just a dog. It would go outside and use the bathroom, come back in. They are intelligent.
Yep.
They're omnivores, right? So everything's a potential meal. So they're curious.
Okay.
Right. They're super gregarious.
Yep.
Can you get a bad pig? Yes. When you start looking at breeds and boar versus,
yeah.
Well, so a female pig that's never had a litter is called a gilt.
Oh.
And a female pig that has had a litter is called a sow.
Oh.
A male that doesn't have his testicles anymore is called a barrow.
Okay.
And an intact male is called a boar. So you have gilt and sow, barrow, and boar. The pig market, in terms of what you're eating, you're eating barrows and more than likely gilts.
Okay.
The sows and the boars. At some point, you're eating the sow and the boar too, right? Because everybody ultimately punches that card. Our breeding boar and sow were named Brutus and Olive. And Brutus and Olive were fantastic. Brutus was a red wattle. At his height, I think he was about 850 pounds. Just a little thing.
Oh, yeah.
And Olive was a Gloucester Old Spot, or GOS breed. And at her height, probably about 650, 700 pounds when she was fully, I think the biggest litter she ever had was maybe 12 piglets.
Wow. All right. And what are the role of the pig in the ecosystem of a hobby farm, or the reason why? Yeah, please.
Yeah. Great question. Unique. So woods want to become bigger. Okay. So if you think about a field or your lawn, it's going to bump up against a woodlot. Okay. And so if you think about it in terms of over time, the woods want to encroach in on the field, right? Because a big old oak tree is going to drop its acorns, and one of those acorns is going to sprout, right, and grow the next tree. So you think about the woods want to encroach in on the pasture.
Okay.
Well, pigs do a really good job of keeping them at bay, because pigs love the woods. Oh yeah, they love shade and the woods, and they love old dead things, because old dead things have grub worms in them and all sorts of pigs love to root. A pig is happiest when it's got dirt to play nose around in and root. If you've ever watched, if you ever get a close-up look at a pig and their nose, it is the most miraculous tool you've ever seen. Like
Really?
it's as dexterous as our fingers.
What do you mean? It can
I
like individuate the
in terms of
nostrils and
like
stuff?
how it can bend, I mean, so
Uh-huh.
here's a pig nose. Imagine there's two holes right here,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
The top of the pig nose is a lip, like
Oh
it's a
my God. Yeah,
oh, and
yeah.
think
All right.
about like how our lips. I mean, it's unbelievable.
That's awesome.
I have watched a pig pick an acorn up off the ground, okay, with its mouth and toss it around and I have watched a pig shell an acorn with its teeth, spit the shell out and eat the nut.
Pretty impressive.
They're unbelievable.
That's
So
awesome.
the role they play is turning soil, okay, because
Okay.
they like to root. Again, they're
Right.
destructive.
They're
They're
tilling the
destructive.
ground. Yeah.
Think about a four-wheel drive rototiller, right? That doesn't need gasoline. That's a pig. And so if you allow that four-wheel drive rototiller to till, and then move on to the next spot, right? Because if you leave them anyways, again, back to we talked about chickens earlier. If you leave
Yeah.
chickens somewhere too long, you have a moonscape. If you leave pigs somewhere too long, you have a moonscape. And so, yeah, moving pigs along, they eat. I mean, I bet a pig is eating 5 to 6 pounds of dirt a year.
They eat dirt.
Is going through,
And
and
then what do you feed them, Charles? What do you recommend we feed the pigs?
yeah, so this is the complaint that a lot of folks have is you have to feed pigs. I mean,
Well, yeah.
one pig you could probably get away with, all the scraps from your table and stuff
Oh,
like
really?
that. But if you want to grow 2, 3, 4, 10, 100 pigs, you got to feed them.
Okay, but
We
like
would
just if you
feed.
yeah, what do you actually feed it? Let's say you have a pig or two. Like people are like like just
Yeah, you just buy a
carrots.
non-GMO feed. Yeah.
Oh, but you
There's a
supplement it with anything in particular to make sure it's healthy? Like does it need protein? Does it eat protein? Or they eat just vegetables? What
pigs
do
will
they
eat
eat?
anything. Pigs will eat anything. They're an omnivore.
Okay.
So the foundation of the pig's diet, again, is going to be some type of milled or
Okay.
pelletized feed.
Oh,
Okay,
okay.
and
So
and there's
non-GMO feed.
I would
Okay.
I would draw the line at non-GMO. I don't think you
Yeah.
have to do organic for a pig to if in a pastured setting.
Yeah.
Remember, the
Pastured.
setting is arguably way more important than the food. I would
Gotcha.
rather you feed, there's all this soy, no soy, corn, no corn. I would rather have a pastured pig eating Snickers bars, right? Than a confined pig eating organic,
Yes.
soy-free, blah,
Yeah,
blah, blah,
for
right?
sure. For sure.
So the line I draw in the sand personally and professionally is non-GMO. The line I drew in the sand for me personally, again, I'm talking to your audience, and then we did a soy-free,
Yeah.
non-GMO, freshly milled ration, and then there was a ration I would get Nature's Crest, I believe it's a non-GMO, but it's pelletized. And part of the problem with a pelletized feed is there's a lot of heat that's generated during the pelletization process, and that heat can destroy a lot of the enzymes
Oh,
that are
yes.
naturally occurring in the grain. Okay, but again, if your pigs are out on pasture, they're gonna go nuzzle up to they're going to go find an old stump or a dead log, and it's going to have a grub worm in it, and they're going to destroy that log, and they're going to eat all this biodynamic, mineral infested, soil, and it's they're going to ingest a lot of really interesting stuff.
Yeah.
um
Yeah.
which I believe, again, and they're getting sunshine, they're getting fresh water,
Yeah.
and they're not spending too terribly much time in their own excrement, right? We're going to move them
Yes.
on, and our general turnaround time was about 7 or 8 weeks, 8
Yep.
weeks. So if
Yep.
I had the pigs here, right? Then I move them on and move them on and move them on. Let's just say I move them in a big circle. If depending on the rainfall and time of year and all that, but if I allowed that spot to rest 8 to 10 weeks, then it's totally bring the pigs back on it, right?
What are the natural predators to the pig? Like coyotes? I mean, well, I don't know. Do they have
Not really.
But like,
Not
like,
really.
because
I mean,
chickens,
baby pigs.
it's a whole thing for chickens, like, getting killed because foxes, coyotes, dogs, whatever. A lot of people have trouble keeping chickens if they don't have a predator protection dog. Do pigs have a similar problem?
Correct.
Do you
Baby
have to,
pigs have a little bit of a
just the
problem.
babies? Okay.
Just the babies and just aerial predation. It has been my experience.
What about like coyotes though? Like if you get your pigs
Well,
out pasturing.
you don't have baby pigs without a mama pig.
Okay, but
And if
full
you've never
grown
been
now.
around a 600-pound sow and she gets mad and she can bite and run faster than Usain Bolt, okay?
They can run fast?
Oh yeah.
The Lord,
Pigs are
600 pounds.
fast.
The earth must shake.
Well, maybe not Usain fast at 600 pounds, but if
Yeah.
you've never seen a wild boar
Yeah,
running
no,
through a
I've
field,
heard of
they
boar,
are
yeah.
fast.
Yeah, but you
They
don't
are
mess with the
very fast
boars.
animals.
Yeah.
But no, so
Okay, so
my
no.
only problem with predation with my pigs in 6 years of farming was aerial predation when I had baby piglets.
So
Never had a coyote
falcons,
problem.
hawks,
It was
eagles.
hawks
Hawks.
mostly,
Oh, I have a
or as
lot
we
of
called
hawks.
them, farm pigeons.
I have a lot of hawks. I got to watch them with my little dogs too. But
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah,
yeah,
anything little's a problem.
that's
But again, I was never worried with ground predation on my piglets because
okay.
and once a pig is 150 pounds, which is 4 months old, oh, it's I, first of all, you usually got more than one pig. You usually got three or
Yeah,
four, five, 10 pigs together. And
okay.
yeah, predators are smart.
Do you think
You
like
know,
maybe 50 pounds is okay? Or
50-pound
because
pig?
yeah, can a bird pick up? I mean, I would think something at least 50 pounds would be okay not to be picked up by a bird. Or no, are you
Oh, for
saying it has?
sure.
Yeah,
I'd
okay.
say 30 to 40
Yeah,
pounds.
okay, because I was thinking
Yeah.
anything under
I watched
15
a
pounds
hawk.
is.
I watched a hawk pick up one of my piglets and just get it up in the air enough to drop it to kill it,
Yeah,
and
exactly.
then go pick it up again
How
and
much
haul it
did it
off.
weigh?
Oh gosh, it was a baby piglet. I mean,
Like
probably didn't weigh
10
more than 10 or
pounds?
15 pounds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So I would say 15, 20 pounds below is dangerous. So above that 20, you're probably okay with
Yeah.
whatever the animal.
Yeah.
Because like I have dogs that are 5 pounds and I have dogs that are 60 pounds. So yeah, but my 5 pounds, oof, I'm a nervous wreck sometimes when they're out there. But
Well, I mean, it's
yeah, it's a
that's
legit concern.
nature's
Mhm. Yeah.
what do they say? Nature's cruel, but it's fair,
Yeah,
something
that's
like
right.
that.
Yeah, no, I got you. Hey, we got to get into this. Your product, this
Okay.
thing that has changed my life. Before I let you go, because my goodness, I love this conversation. Okay, everybody. So I'm all about mind, body, spirit, holistic health. I share with you products I love and use myself, and when I completely go gaga and out of my mind, I get you a coupon code and I put them on my e-store because I have to share it. I couldn't get Farrow on there fast enough. I love it. It's Charles's product. It's your baby. I am in the middle of winter. I have got major problems with this cold weather. I lather this stuff all over my skin, my hands, my face. I love it, love it, love it. My skin sucks it up. It's not oily. It doesn't clog my pores. It is saving me. I found you at the perfect time of year. Charles, share with us SmartLard, why lard is so wonderful for our mind, body, and spirit, and how. Tell us about this wonderful product. Why it's unique.
Sure. So, well, you mentioned it. We're the first lard. We lead with lard. So, a lot of the animal fat-based brands out there, which there are some fantastic ones on the market, but they're using predominantly tallow. We love tallow. It's in our product, but we lead with lard. We have 4 products. We're still a very young company, but if the products are good, you don't need many of them. We have the one you just showed is our face food. Comes in a 1 ounce, really nice clean jar, scented or unscented. We have our skin food. I have one of those here. Skin food, think neck down, and face food sort of neck up. And then, yeah, Amy's showing the Epidermis. That one we launched last year. So
Saving my
Epidermis,
hands in the winter.
yeah, it's
Saving
so
me.
good. So it's a portable packable. It comes in an aluminum tube, and then we have a CBD sublingual elixir,
Love
I
that.
call
I
it.
put that on my face as a serum, I want you to know.
Oh, some people
I
do that,
do.
and it can work like that. I
I,
typically tell folks to put it under the tongue.
oh, yeah, I know. And you know what? Confession. I didn't read that before I started using it. I was using it as a serum. And then I saw, oh, wait, I'm supposed to put this under my tongue. I'm doing both.
Here's my confession. So, I tell people this all the time. I'm sort of an idiot. I mean, I'm a fun idiot, but I'm an idiot, and I think my lack of knowledge in skincare actually helps me in
It's
many
called
respects because
beginner's mind,
that's
Charles.
that's right.
Beginner's
Yeah, just
mind. It's a
everything's
benefit.
new, and so
Yes.
when we launched, my favorite cousin in the world, I brought him some, and I love this stuff. I use it on my face every night. And I'm like, on your face? She's like, yeah, like a serum. And I was like, oh yeah, skincare's got serums, and people rub it. It was like, this is supposed to go under your tongue.
That's what
So,
I did. So
but
your
it works
cousin and
both
I,
ways.
same.
It
And
works
it's
both ways.
perfect, everybody. I use that first as a serum. And I don't know, it's such a nice texture and my skin absorbs it and it's not greasy. It's just miraculous. And I think that goes back to what we were saying earlier, that it's bioavailable. The body recognizes it. It's very
Yes.
similar cellularly. The pH is similar, the fat composition. Please tell us a little bit about why it works so well or what's unique about it.
Yeah, so we talked about this earlier. Pigs and
Yeah.
humans share a lot of biology. Okay.
Yeah.
We're both monogastric omnivores. We train our surgeons on pigs. I don't know if your listeners knew that or not, but we
Pig
use pig parts
transplants. Yeah.
in people.
Transplants.
We will
Hearts.
harvest we harvest hormones from pigs and use
Oh,
those oh, absolutely. Yeah,
I
the
didn't know that.
testosterone, you can
Makes
almost
sense.
harvest testosterone directly from a pig and use it directly in a human. Like the biology it's a spot on match. Okay. Pigs are 4-legged humans, humans are 2-legged pigs. And so if
And
you
our
raise a
skin,
healthy,
the skin of a
yep,
pig is very similar to a
yes.
human skin,
Yeah.
literally the skin.
The big difference, they don't sweat, we do.
Okay.
Right. This is why there's a bunch of different reasons why
Go in the
pigs
mud.
wallow around in the mud. But a lot of it's to stay cool and to protect them from mosquitoes. Um, but so lard, which is the rendered subcutaneous fat from a pig, lard is arguably the most bioidentical substance on the planet to human sebum, which is the natural oil that our glands produce. And so if you want to think about exogenous sources of human oil, lard is ideal for it. Skincare as an industry, Amy, really we've been fascinated with glowing, healthy, happy skin for forever as a species, right? But skincare as an industry up until a couple hundred years ago was always reserved for the elite, like because the components in skincare were hard to come by. They were
Mm.
these wild, you know, well, I mean, just think olive oil. Olive oil is hard to do pre-industrial age. I mean, it's valuable, but you got to press all those olives and this, that, and the other. Coconut oil, same thing. Um, and most humans were intimately involved in animal fat on a regular weekly basis because we were
Yeah.
hunting and gathering, we were
On the farm.
preparing, yeah. So, and lard, to tie it all together, lard was the preeminent fat for baking and cooking at the turn of the century. Um, Tallow was not. Tallow was predominantly used in making candles and also soap
Okay.
as a fat. Skincare is fat based. For everyone listening, it's about fats. Now they've convinced us that plant fats and petroleum derivatives are really the best for our skin. That's conventional industrial skincare is plant-based fats, seed oil-based fats, and petroleum derivatives. But Farrow makes the argument that, well, we say it, the lard works in mysterious ways, and you're a shining testimony to that.
That's awesome. And that's what we just got to circle back on, everybody, to put highlight on, is that it's about bioavailability. When you're getting marketed, oh, it's plant-based, like it's a good thing. It's like, not necessarily, it doesn't mean your cells are going to recognize it and be able to absorb it and utilize it as well as if something that's similar and just is easier for your body to use. So I love it. I am absolutely in love with your products. And you were kind enough to give us a special coupon for my audience. Do you remember what it is, Charles?
I do. And I want to say this, Amy, for your audience. Well, first and foremost, it's a real honor to be here. And it was a pleasure putting the coupon code together. But I have to tell your audience, you ordered my product. You bought my product, and I say that because that's not always the case.
And before I asked you to be on the show,
that's exactly right. I just want to bring that up. I'm honored to be here.
Yeah,
I'm incredibly honored to offer. So Aphrodite is the coupon code. Our website is Farrow FARROW.life. So Farrow.life, and you can do /Aphrodite, or when you get into the shop and want to check out and save 15% off your purchase, use the promo code Aphrodite. But I've been on other podcasts, and different people want to, some people want hey, can you send me the product? Let me try it. And anyway, I just want to tell your audience that it's such a pleasure and honor to be here, and this is how I love having these conversations. As someone gets exposed to our product, and
it's authentic and natural and organic. Like, so to reiterate what Charles is sharing with everyone, you guys, is that like I had said at the very beginning of the show, and if you're still with us, thank you for still being here in our conversation. But I said at the beginning, I found Charles through Weston A. Price, and that's when I just kind of on a whim was like, "Oh, try it." It makes a lot of sense, and I was really impressed with Charles. So I figured, it seems to be aligned with my values and my mission and my principles. So I bought a bottle, and I loved it. And that's when I reached out to Charles and said, "Charles, I got to have you on my show." And then I was like, great, this will give me time to use the product for a little while prior to having you on with my audience. And then sure enough, right before you came on, I had to reach back out to Charles and say, "Charles, can you provide a coupon for my audience? We got to get them to try this stuff because I love it." And so it all worked out perfectly. And everybody knows I wouldn't be sharing it, and I certainly would not have it on my website if I didn't believe in it and use it myself. And that's why, thank you for giving everybody a break and providing that coupon. Is just enter Aphrodite at checkout and you'll save the 15%, everybody. So Charles,
my pleasure.
Such an amazing thing. Any final thoughts to make you feel complete? Anything you feel like the audience should know, or we left out, or just final words?
Oh gosh. Well, I just really appreciate your curiosity around all of this, and willingness to try to connect the dots. Again, we before we even went live, we were just talking about all the different cross-pollinated, correlated, wonderful human beings in the world. And so I'm ever more hopeful that there are more people seeking messages like yours, and certainly products and messages like ours. And so I'm very grateful for our time today. So thank you, Amy.
Me too, my friend. I sincerely, from my heart to yours, like everyone, I think that certainly the people that subscribe to Awakening Aphrodite, we're a tribe. Even if people like you and me, Charles, we never physically met, or at least not yet. And everyone listening, it's my dream that we all meet someday. It's my dream that we actually physically be together. But We already are connected. We're connected in our spirits, in our philosophy, in our values, that we value life and respect nature and beauty and each other and sovereignty. And it's so beautiful when we find our own, we find our people, and then we're part of the answer. Your product is part of the answer, and it's going to be something that I feel gives people hope, helps people be healthier so they feel better. When you feel better, you do better. That's what it's about. Because you know what? I don't know about you, but I'm done with the doom and gloom. There's enough scary stuff. There's enough, this is coming, that's coming. Let's be empowered. Let's focus on what we can control, what we can change, taking care of our own garden. That goes with our internal landscape. Being around the people that are making it happen, that are doing things that are good in the world, and let that build momentum, and let's build our strength together. So I'm grateful to find you. I'm grateful for everybody walking this path with us. And I thank you so much again for being with us today, Charles.
Thank you.
All right, everybody. We'll see you next time. Do check out Farrow Life, farrow.life. It's on my e-store at amyfournier.com. Just go ahead to that section of the store, and don't forget to enter the coupon Aphrodite, baby. Not baby, just Aphrodite. Aphrodite at checkout. Please let Charles and I know what you think. We'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite. Would you like to support my mission to help empower people all over the world to be all of who they truly are? If so, please subscribe to the show, leave a review on iTunes, and share it with a friend. And if you're looking to take immediate action to align your energy and optimize your health, visit amyfournier.com. Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite. Let's awaken her together in you. I'm your hostess, Amy Fournier, and I already can't wait to be with you again and for you to hear what I have planned for the next show.
Thanks for listening to Awakening Aphrodite with Amy Fournier. To learn more about Amy, check out her website, amyfournier.com. That's AMYFOURNIER.com. You can also check out Amy's live and on-demand virtual fitness and yoga classes, and sign up for her newsletter to receive a free mini ebook of 3 of her top tips for making holistic health a lifestyle. Again, that's amyfournier.com. and get your ebook sent to your email immediately. Connect with Amy on the daily on Instagram at FitAmyTV, FITAMYTV, and watch many of the podcast episodes and subtopic clips on her YouTube channel, which is also FitAmyTV. Enjoy, and we'll see you next time on Awakening Aphrodite.